an overview about various initiatives, and more than that, I think the reason why India is investing so much in skill development, and why we are also looking at global partnerships in skill development, and how youth employability has become a very big agenda for not only the national level central government, but in the states also, in various state governments. Also looking at global partnerships in skill development. Uh, why is it resonating, Serumu? Is there any other device on which uh, you have logged in? Hello? Okay. Yeah, I could hear some resonating things, but then I'll continue. I hope it's not a distraction.
No, ma'am, your voice is very clear. We could
Okay.
able to get it.
Okay, thank you. So as we all can see here, India, a vast country with a lot of diversity, complexity, with culture, with languages, with various geographies, and every state in the country is so unique. And that's why we call India a subcontinent. It has so much of tradition and modernity. But India is also not just a mix of tradition and modernity. India is also rich in terms of heritage and history. Uh, since we have had a lot of educational traditions in India, if we look at the Indian knowledge systems, for example, we had a system called Guru Shishya Parampara, which is the Guru, the teacher and the taught, the learner. And this kind of a tradition existed hundreds of years ago in India, and there are many other traditions. All these traditions also had a skill component in it. There was a lot of practical training involved. The students in those days had to learn by doing. So that is the kind of tradition we have also inherited in the country. But during the colonial times, and for historical reasons, India had adopted a certain model of education which was serving mostly the colonial government. And I think that continued for a long time in post independent India. And because of that reason, there were some issues which came up in the way students were learning, which was mostly academic centered. And also, there were certain social issues when we talk about skills. But if we look at the history, there is enough proof to show that many a times, even during the colonial past, there were initiatives coming up from the government to introduce skills in the curriculum. So that is the kind of picture, which emerges today when we look at India. And today, in terms of economic aspects, we are the fourth largest economy, and with a huge demographic dividend, where we have about 60 to 70% of people who are within, let's say, 20 to 35 or 40 years age group, out of 1.6 billion population. So if you just start imagining India, you will see the challenges are humongous. When it comes to skills, education, employment, employability, and many other aspects. Now, in the midst of all this, for the last 10 years, especially, the government, after forming a ministry dedicated to skills, it's called the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, has made a landmark move in recognizing the importance of skills and targeting and aiming to make India the skill capital of the world. So, this has happened for the first time in India after our independence. And it speaks a lot about why the government has taken this measure, this step to have a dedicated ministry. So, with this, not only one ministry, but if you look at the kind of support we have for skill development, among all the ministries we have in the country at the central government level, about 18 to 20 of them have their own skilling departments. Like Ministry of Textiles has its own skilling, agriculture has its own skilling. So even at that level, we have programs and initiatives and schemes at the national level, plus at the state level. Almost every state has its own focus on skill development. If you look at Tamil Nadu, which is a state in the southern part of the country, they have a huge initiative where they are targeting to skill and help youth become employable. If you look at, for example, Haryana, a state in the northern part, again similar things, focus on apprenticeship, focus on many things. Look at Northeast India or Western India. Every state has very interesting initiatives coming up. That goes to show that skilling is absolutely critical today in India's, in realizing the youth aspirations of Indian youth. And also, if you look at the way India has adopted technology, many countries really admire the way we have used digital technologies, whether it comes to um, like financial transactions or any online transactions, or for that matter, portals. We have national portals, or we have various other kind of networks, which help us in making things smooth, making things very transparent, making transactions smooth, safe, and also less time consuming. So I would say speed, scale, sustainability, these are all the keywords when we look at any skill development initiatives in India. Just to give you a glimpse now of how things have evolved over the years, from 1950 onwards, that's soon after independence. India became independent in 1947. And soon after that, the industrial training institutes were set up, and they started offering crafts training programs under crafts training scheme. And so this was followed by Apprenticeship Act, and then there were a lot of many education policies, national level education policies, and each and every policy or any document that came up during all these decades had a lot of emphasis on skill development. But I think the turning point was 2014 when the ministry was formed. And subsequent to that, we have this policy of skill development, and also we have policy, the national policy, uh, of education, which is called NEP 2020, which was launched in 2020. And this policy document is also another landmark decision in the history of India, where mainstreaming vocational education was one of the top agendas in the policy. And this was done rightly so, because we realized that academic learning alone is not going to help youth become employable. And there is a notion in India for ages. There are a lot of, we are a very middle class heavy country, okay? So a lot of middle class families, they want their students to do well. They don't mind spending any amount in education. So over the years, it so happened that certain disciplines like engineering or management became the most aspirational type of disciplines. And it so happened that even those who cannot afford these subjects started enrolling in colleges. And then we realized that this is not really yielding any results. So it was becoming like a futile exercise. But at the same time, we know that most of the tech industry heads, CEOs, etc., like for example, you look at the big brands, if you look at the companies which are based out of America, many Indians have occupied very very high positions, and they are doing exceptionally well. So that's on the other end. And on the other side of the story, we had a lot of people who were aspiring to become engineers, but they couldn't do so. And then we saw that there are certain models, like the typical aspirational subjects, were not helping youth go anywhere with their job opportunities or anything that they want to do to have a sustainable and a gainful livelihood. So this realization comes out very strongly in NEP, that is National Education Policy 2020, where we have decided that at every level, starting with school, college, post graduation, there are opportunities to learn skills, or what we call as mainstreaming vocational education. In India, mostly we use the word skill development and vocational education for what globally is known as TVET. So that is something which is very important. And now again, historically, skill-based education is not new in India, as I mentioned earlier. Um, the prominent national leader Mahatma Gandhi, who played such a big role in, India's independence struggle, had his own philosophy about craft-centric education. And this concept echoes in the latest Education Policy 2020. And during the last 70 years, many educational policies also borrowed from this philosophy of craft centric education. This policy was probably this today, maybe, it looks like a very old idea. But when you apply it to today's circumstances, like Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy was education should touch your heart, hand and head. It's all a mix of all this. So it is mental, it is emotional, and it is intellectual. And I think with craft centric vocational education, we are going to realize all these goals, and it's becoming very, very important. So as I just said, in India, we call it skill development, we call it vocational education, applied learning, and national education policy is also, going by this line of thought. And why we are making it a priority, I just gave you a few reasons. But we are also making it a priority because we want to sensitize not only the students but also their parents, so that they realize that the world of work is changing, and they cannot expect their child to always score very high in a center, in a system which is very examination centric, and then aspire to get a big job which is high paying job and do well and have a career. But see, these things are changing world over. I'm sure all of you, every country is facing it, right? With the geopolitical situations, with the economic changes, with the kind of situation which is, like, say, the industries that are getting disrupted with technology, like artificial intelligence and automation. If you look at the organized sector, all these changes will mean that every young person should be equipped to handle this situation, which in other words means either you should be multi-skilled, or you should have a bag of skills with you which you can just open and use anytime you want to be employed or to grow in your career. And we have interesting things in India, like the way the ecosystem is developed. One of the important one of the important aspects of this ecosystem is the sector skill councils, which are industry representative bodies. We have about 35 of them, each one representing an industry, because when we talk about vocational education, industry is the one which plays a major role. But having said that, in India, still we have a long way to go to make it industry driven. At present, I think the onus is on the government, with so many initiatives coming up from the government and so much of budget also being allocated. So the government is trying very hard to get these partnerships going. Then we have school boards which have a lot of vocational subjects. Then university level research, that's also happening in India in vocational education. And I think our objective right now is to introduce the young people to the real world learning, which is applicable to the world of work, and also in one way to inspire the young population to become job creators but not job seekers, like move from being a job seeker to a job creator, which in turn means explore entrepreneurship, explore self-employment. Don't just depend on government jobs or private sector jobs, because these are gradually reducing, as we can see, and there are new type of jobs that are coming up, which are gig jobs and others. So the now with vocational education, the youth can realize their dreams in multiple ways. But yeah, there are many challenges. There is a long way to go. Like in every other country, I think we also have our challenges. So I'll just try to tell you how I think we are trying to convert these challenges into opportunities. First and foremost, for me, is the underemployment of educated youth. That's a very big challenge when we look at the urban economy and the youth, which is, trying to get into jobs with about 1 million or so people getting into the job market every time. We see that there aren't many opportunities, so that actually leads to a lot of frustration, disappointment. So this underemployment, where you are highly qualified and taking up a low level job, is a big issue for us right now. And India has a lot of informal industry, like in many other developing countries, unorganized sector, so the employment mostly happens there. And this employment is rather contractual, non-sustainable, doesn't have any support system there. So mostly at the low skill level jobs, there is a lot of informality of employment, and the nature of industry also, which is like micro, small, and medium kind of industries. And unemployment also in urban and rural both. So unemployment is just not getting a job. For it's happening like everywhere in the world, even here. So it's also more in the rural India because of various reasons. Even though they have opportunities, they have access in most parts of the rural India, still there isn't much awareness about what the youth can go. So they end up migrating to cities because there aren't many job opportunities there. So there is a need to rethink and reimagine a whole lot of issues here. I think we are in that process. That's why I'm trying to put it in a way that you understand that we are actually, this is a journey which has just begun, and we are trying to convert these challenges into opportunities and address all these issues. And education not being aligned to work, as I just said, which is the result of academic learning, is something we are now trying to address through the education policy, that is NEP 2020, or similar policies which are coming at the state level, because in India, the states have the freedom to design their own education. So it's not like the states have to implement whatever is being conveyed from the central government. There is freedom. They can work together with the central government. They can form their own, kind of make their own decisions. That kind of freedom is available. So these are all things which are happening. And social issues with TVET, I think this is such a big global problem. Whoever I talk to, whether it is Australia or in US or in Germany, or like with Serumu, we have been interacting for quite a long time, whether it is Africa or any other country, developed or not so developed, the social stigma or the secondary level of identity that is assigned to vocational or skilling is something that is emerging as a very big challenge. And after having worked in this domain for 10 plus years, we recently completed 1 decade or 10 years of National Skills Network. I can vouch for it that this is definitely going to take decades for us to address, to solve this problem, because this is something which cannot be addressed overnight. It has to do with the mindset, it has to do with the kind of attitude we have towards skills, towards manual work, or even work which is done in different types of industries. So this is a very important thing that we are addressing. And there is an inadequacy of teachers and trainers in the vocational area, which is also being addressed through various capacity building initiatives, and encouraging women workforce and also those who are disabled and have challenges to go and work in various places. These are also things which are being addressed through vocational education and training. So with this, let me move on to give you an example about an initiative at the school level, which came, into which is actually a part of implementing the National Education Policy 2020, is an example about the introduction of bagless days in schools. This is just an idea I just wanted to share with you. How we want to encourage students to leave their bags at home on a particular day and just go and explore, enjoy the world of work. And this is a part of the policy. It's being implemented in schools. And our policy and all the decisions are also in alignment with SDGs. So we have been following the SDGs wherever we are trying to, address issues which are concerning either it is sustainability or the kind of environmental issues, or these are all new things that are also being introduced in vocational subjects. Now, who are the key stakeholders? As I just said, the key stakeholders in India for a very sustainable model of skill development, it is mostly the government, the central and the state government. I have already briefed you just now about the policy. There is a lot of policy advocacy. There are schemes like there is a popular scheme from the central government called PMKVY. It's called Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. So this is one of the flagship schemes. There are similar schemes. I will not be able to, describe all of them, but there are a lot of similar schemes at the state and the central level where the students are kind of skilled, in most cases free of cost, and they are helped with placement. So there is a lot of support coming from the government there as well. And then there is funding, and there is also lot of technology infusion. So we have a lot of portals, we have many things which are digitally available, and then there is support from industry partners, but there is a long way to go here. There are industry bodies like CII, FICCI, and other industry bodies which are actively involved in promoting and supporting implementation of skilling programs. There are a lot of training partners. These are training companies, private organizations. Then there are technology partners who work with the government and the training institutions. Then academic institutions like schools, colleges, universities, non-profits who are working, the civil society, who are again very actively involved in ground level work. Either they mobilize or they execute the programs. They are the people who can feel the pulse of, let's say, the rural India, or those who are disadvantaged sections of the society, and many other such profiles of people. And India also works with many international organizations, whether it is Asian Development Bank or World Bank or UNESCO Univoc or GIZ from Germany, or so many other such organizations are there from other countries, and we have very fruitful and productive partnerships for skill development. And also, another key stakeholder is the student and the parents for whom we are doing all these things. So here there is a lot of work to be done, as I just mentioned earlier, a lot of awareness to be created about the changing world of work, the kind of jobs that are coming, the lack of safety and security of a salaried job, which the parents have to realize very soon. So these are few things. Now, what are the ecosystem enablers? One, of course, is the policy document. Here, I'm just showing you a picture of it. It's available online. And then we have industrial training institutes. This is one of the oldest systems in India, which has supplied high quality human resources to various manufacturing industries, especially even today they do so, ITIs and polytechnics. Then there is the apprenticeship scheme. There are multiple apprenticeship schemes in India. And very recently, we had very positive reforms where the stipend was increased, where there are more incentives for partners to engage in apprenticeships. And this is also one of the ecosystem enablers. Then industry aligned curriculum, industry integrated curriculum, which is on par with various international standards, like what we call as NSQF, National Skills Qualification Framework, multiple levels and all. So we are on par with various other countries here. And this is also helping in global mobility. Also, kind of curriculum that we have, which has to be dynamic and it should link with the industry developments. Then we have capacity building programs for teachers and school leaders and college leaders, because today we talk about outcome-based learning, unlike very pure theoretical academic learning. Then we have skill universities, other higher educational institutions which offer skill courses. Then training for global mobility, that's also one type of training India is specializing in. Then polytechnic and engineering colleges, which have traditionally been offering various types of engineering programs and technology programs, are also looking at skilling programs. Now, I just thought I'll give you a glimpse of the vocational training landscape from the Industrial Training Institute's point of view. So there are about 15,000 of them, private and government, spread across the country in every state, and they have a lot of other institutions and organizations which work with it. So this makes it like a complete holistic ecosystem where you have these institutes being supported by various portals, by also institutions which create the training material, the curriculum, the textbooks, and then the practicals, and so many other things. So like this, there are a lot of examples. If you wish to know more, please visit our website and go to our YouTube channel. You'll have a lot of information. And now I just wanted to also give you a glimpse of how the policy is getting implemented. There are a lot of supporting frameworks for policy implementation. For the first time in the country, we have formalized a national qualification, national credit framework, along with national skills qualification framework. So creditizing skilling or creditizing academic program, building bridges between these two streams, encouraging students to go into multi-skilled, multidisciplinary programs. All these are kind of futuristic, and we are keeping in view the kind of future we are going to see and how we can prepare students to face this future. Just to give you an example of how the NSQF or National Skills Qualification Framework works in India is we cater to the aptitude, the knowledge, and the skill levels under the entire broad spectrum of competencies. And this again, even though it has been there in India for about more than 12 years now, very recently there were changes made in this framework. Why I'm talking about this as an example in today's presentation is because I think this is something so new that many people are yet to appreciate the value these kind of frameworks generate for transforming skilling, for transforming skill development programs. Because the moment we look at these frameworks, there are levels, right? I'm sure this is there in other countries also in the same way. And these levels are mapped with, these levels are mapped with credits, and students can enter into these levels. It's like uh, multiple entry points we have, and then they can do whichever course they want. This is for the students who are kind of going through a very systematic academic program, but it also caters to the dropouts because they also have something like an RPL, which is recognition of prior learning, or when we have the credit framework being implemented in a full-fledged manner, if anybody is dropping out for some reason, they would anyways carry few credits with them on successful completion of the program. And these credits can be used for doing many other courses. So it is as good as any creditization and realization of those credits, and such changes are happening right now. These are still at a very nascent stage in India. So we can expect a lot of change very gradually, of course, because we know any change when we talk about education skilling in a system that has been following a particular style of doing things, it's kind of very painful because it is also calling for changes at the level of mindset or at the level of how flexible one is to accommodate these changes. So it becomes an exercise in change management also. I think we are undergoing these things now. Along with these typical technical skills, I think we also have a realization in India where we feel the 21st century skills or transferable skills are equally important in today's world. That's because we know just with technical skills, one might get a job. So it is like if I get NSQF level 6 or 7, okay, 7 is like equal to undergraduate. Let's assume the students do level 7 and then they get a degree. What happens after degree? The degree gives you eligibility to apply So you're qualified to apply for a XYZ job. But are you employable? Maybe you are employable because you know how to face an interview, you know how to handle few things when you are applying for a job and going for that particular discussion or interview. Those are employable. But are you eligible? Are you employable? But beyond these, the question would be, in case you get a job, can you remain in that job for long, or are you adding to the attrition rates? I think this is a bigger problem, because we see in skilled workforce which are entering the workforce, I mean the skilled youth which are entering the workforce, one of the biggest challenges is no matter which qualification level you are at, you don't stay in the job. Okay, there is a lot of movement, there is a lot of confusion, they are not clear what they want to do, especially those who migrate. Because if you look at India, for example, there are pockets in few states where there isn't the same kind of growth that you see in other states. For example, if you look at the IT industry in India, mostly it is developed in few states in the southern India, where I come from, Hyderabad, Telangana, my neighboring state, Karnataka, capital of which is Bangalore, and maybe Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra. So there are few states where there is, the clusters are more. So many would want to migrate, or there are, so these sectors, they generate whole lot of other jobs also, not just the IT jobs or those highly aspirational jobs. So naturally, the employment is more here, opportunities are more. But what happens when they migrate from other states? We see a lot of attrition. So we are not preparing youth today for handling these situations. How do they remain in the job? So a job is beyond eligibility, beyond employability. It is more about me, myself, as an employee. How will I remain in this job? Or so that is where these transferable skills like curiosity, communication, adaptability, flexibility, growth mindset, all those will come into the picture. And I think we are paying attention to those as well. Now, the bright side of the framework we saw today opens up opportunities for youth like this who are already employed to upskill themselves or to continue their education, because that is still very aspirational. At the end of the day, everybody wants to have a degree and they feel good with that degree. But for some reason, in case they have dropped out and got into jobs like these, which are kind of part-time jobs or jobs which are like gigs, for example. Now, today, with the policy changes and the various changes that are happening at the national level, I can say this is a very, very positive development in India. And also for people like this girl who's probably a barista, if she has a hobby like making jewelry, there are also training programs for her to parallelly learn her skills. If jewelry making is her passion, she can always leave being a barista if she doesn't find it interesting and pursue something like an entrepreneurship by making jewelry. So there are schemes, there is support system, there are many things in India which are enabling this also for youth. And then another example, let's say, for example, somebody is working in retail industry with national skills qualification framework, they can always upgrade themselves and move from one level to another. That possibility is also there. So there are pathways, there is movement, there is upward mobility, and there is also a lot of scope for them to earn, increase their earning potential. So all these are becoming possibilities now. Now, few best practices and partnerships. Best practice, I would say there are many. It's very difficult to list, but then I just picked a few of them. I think India, as a country, being a huge country with, as I just showed you the map, with geographical challenges also, we have invested in a portal, a very national level portal called SIDH, SIDH portal. In case you get some time, please look at the portal. It's like a hub of all the skilling programs, and it is also like a network of various, ecosystem partners who can be accessed from the same portal. Then we have the apprenticeship portal. Then we have a lot of state level skilling projects where you will see activity, lot of activity and outcomes when they work with either non-profits or other implementation partners at various states. And state level projects sometimes align with the national level projects, or otherwise they need not. Then there is focus on capacity building of teachers through what is known as continuous professional development, a mandatory continuous professional development of 50 hours for a vocational teacher and also the other teachers. And the challenge now in India is, when we are pushing so much for vocational, we have to attract teachers who have either industry exposure or who are interested to go and do an internship in the industry, because if the teachers are not familiar with what skills are or what vocational training is, becomes difficult for them. Then we have a lot of digital technology investments and industry aligned NSQF job roles qualifications. There is a portal called NQR. We find all hundreds, I think about 700 or so, curriculum, model curricula is there. Then industry driven training centers like big brands in India like Siemens, or you look at, Bosch and Siemens, mostly the German brands, or the Indian multinationals also. They have, like, for example, Adani, Reliance, many of the Indian multinationals and the other multinationals from other countries, they also have their own industry driven skilling systems and placements. And they also partner ITIs or technical training institutes. Then we have regulatory bodies like NCVET, National Council for Vocational Education and Training, which is monitoring overall educational, vocational education programs at various levels, and not just monitoring, but ensuring there is quality and there is transparency. So please visit their portal if you wish to know more about this. You might also get information about how you can partner in case you are interested to partner schools and colleges in India. Lot of public-private partnership is there from the industry side. Most of the initiatives are offered, are designed like that. And CSR, corporate social responsibility of mandatory 2% of investing their profits over the last 3 years in skilling and education is absolutely mandatory. So this also has contributed positively to the skilling programs in India. So these, I would say, are the key takeaways from the way things are happening, but this is just a handful of them. There are many more. And then we also have a good presence at, events like World Skills. And there's a lot of advocacy and support, for all these events from the government. Like, the government really invests a lot to train youth to participate in World Skills. So this is also helping us build that positive messaging around skilling, especially over the last 10 years. Now, India is also focusing on top employment industry sectors, employment generating industry sectors like green energy, electric vehicles, agriculture, food processing, healthcare, and artificial intelligence. Though it's not an industry, it's a technology. But yes, I think today India has been, I think it's really spearheading many, many initiatives, including a portal. And we have our own chat GPT kind of generative AI applications and all coming up. Then logistics is one sector where there's a lot of employment, tourism, hospitality, electronics. Drones is another sector where we are looking at a lot of employment and also entrepreneurship, beauty and wellness and hospitality. And these are all sectors where a lot of young people are trying to join for a short while and earn, something before they go on to their higher education or even build careers. And this is also a sector where women especially are exploring entrepreneurship. Then IT, yes, IT, that is in information technology and information technology enabled services, another sector which is very aspirational and generating a lot of employment. And one more point which I should not miss here is to do with how we are thinking of linking skills with entrepreneurship. For that matter, the ministry itself is called as Ministry of Skills and Entrepreneurship, Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. So here, for the first time in the country, lot of support for startup ecosystem, not just startups in the urban areas, but startups even in rural, semi-urban areas. And women-led startups are also being encouraged. There are many schemes, including loans and funding and all that. So here, what I see is that we are trying to connect education with employment and entrepreneurship. And since most of the country is rural in India, as you may be knowing, 70% of the population is based out of rural India. There is special focus on employment generation, special focus on also helping rural crafts. For instance, rural crafts like handloom, handicraft, or anything that is, something like a rural product. We have something known as one district, one product, or one district, two product schemes from the government, which encourages these rural people to focus on their unique products and unique industry. And this will also help us reducing migration and distressed migration to urban centers and urban places. Then we have encouragement for startups and incubation of startups in colleges. Entrepreneurship education is being introduced in schools so that we can catch them young and tell them what entrepreneurship is all about. So maybe in 2 decades or so, we might see a transformation of young people. They might want to become entrepreneurs and not job seekers. We don't know, right? So this might be a very positive change. And supporting entrepreneurs in many ways, there are ministries dedicated to this. Then most of the initiatives led by the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi they are also focusing on these areas under his guidance and leadership. There is a lot of push, especially there are a lot of events that happen, where we are trying to bring out these things and showcase it to the world, especially the kind of talent India has, the talent which has to be tapped, the talent which has to be identified. So this is the kind of scenario which I thought I can present within the time limit that was given to me. I hope, Serumu, I haven't exceeded a lot of my time. And I welcome questions and let me know your views. I hope this presentation helped you get a high-level overview. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Madhuri, for your wonderful presentation. And I just want you to throw more light on best practices in funding of TVET programs in India, and also the kind of industry partnership. I want you to throw more light on that, and that of academic institution, best practices in academic institution, industry partnership, and funding of TVET programs in India. Thank you.
Would you want me to tell more on that?
Yes.
Okay, so let me go to the slide. Um, Yeah, industry partnerships is one of the best practices, as I was saying. So if we look at the last 10 years and before that, we see a significant change during the last 10 to 15 years, I should say, where gradually we have evolved practices where the industry has to play an important role in vocational education. And this is achieved through, I'll just go into a few details. This is achieved through industry bodies like we have Confederation of Indian Industry, for example. These industry bodies have played a crucial role in setting up the sector skill councils. So with that, what has happened is the constitution of a sector skill council is people who represent industries like hospitality industry or construction industry or beauty industry. All these are led by them. And then the integration of this has actually, this is kind of, it's a practice, it's a global practice, but how we have adapted in India probably could throw some light in the way we have done it for our kind of system that we have. So with this, what we have achieved is that when we have their support, the industry support, as you know, it is not easy to get industry partnership because inviting industry to spend their time, give a lot of their expertise or send their experts, they have other busy schedules. But in an organized way, when such a system was developed, where we see their contribution is the curriculum, the assessments, and support for apprenticeships. So the apprenticeship model in India right now, that is again something which is undergoing changes, is relying a lot on the industry partnership. And recently, with the kind of schemes we have had, there is also an internship scheme which has come up. This also we can quote as an example from India, where the industries are invited to participate and offer internships to students, to a certain set of students, not to everyone. So there are certain parameters what type of students can take up this internship. And in turn, the industry is responsible for mentoring these students, giving them hands-on experience for that 1 year duration. And also these students get a stipend from the industry and from the government. It is like shared stipend. Okay, so this kind of a practice which has evolved over the years has helped in taking the first few steps in making vocational education, and that is TVET in India, more industry oriented. Now, when you compare this with countries like, let's say, for example, Germany, where it has a history of World War II and all that, when the TVET became, what it is today. In India, we don't share that history at all. Our history is very different, right? So we cannot immediately implement a model from Germany or from Switzerland. We have to draw from these models and gradually implement them. And in a country like India, where there are so many differences, diversity, even the kind of industry we have, it is not easy that we can't say one size fits all approach will work here. And now the second part of this explanation, which I want to share with you, is since India is mostly unorganized with small and medium, enterprises, which are a bulk of the industry, and they are the ones who contribute highly to the GDP of the country. It's not very easy for us to encourage them to have apprentices. So there is a education involved there. Okay, we need to tell them why you should have apprentices. Otherwise, these small companies, small industries, they are not very particular about who they are recruiting or why they are recruiting. So we are trying to bring them also into this gamut of the industries which offer apprenticeships. So for us, I think apprenticeship, work integrated learning through apprenticeship is one of the best practices, which is still evolving, but I think we are achieving quite a lot there through industry partnerships. What was the other thing you were asking me, Serumu? You had asked 2 points. You are on mute. Serumu, you are on.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. The other one I want you to throw more light on is best practices in academic institutions.
Yeah. Now coming to academic institutions, I won't be able to immediately tell you that there is an existing best practice, but I can tell you the positive developments which will lead to positive results and best practices in the coming years.
Yes.
And this is very directly related to the National Education Policy 2020, because that I think is a turning point in the uh, academic institutions, especially undergraduate level, degree level, programs. So here what has been, there are 3 or 4 things, I think, out of which I can talk about at least 2 in a little bit detail. So one is a degree program which has flexibility and which has apprenticeship embedded in it. It's being offered right now in several colleges. Now, with this, what happens is that students, when they come to these colleges aspiring for a degree, a typical degree, doesn't give you any industry experience. Whereas here, when they enroll for this apprenticeship embedded degree program, what happens is they are already aligned to an industry. For example, they can choose let's say retail or healthcare or any of these, or green industry, solar industry or automotive industry, right? So one of the areas where they will get aligned to the industry will be one of these. And then they have formal education in this, but not theoretical. Their theory is only 30%, and 70% is practical learning. So with this, what happens is they get the best of both the worlds. And another important, the second point here is that in this model, we are trying to make it a bit flexible for students. What I mean to say is that over the years in India, we have been very rigid with our education system. For example, the kind of assessments, exams we have, either pass or fail, like the kind of rigidity of scoring marks, right? But when it comes to the higher education at the undergraduate level, today we are giving flexibility. At least some colleges have started offering this, where if the student wants to take a break or drop out for a valid reason, they get a certificate. It's not getting wasted, that 1 year. And they can always come back and continue with the second year. And out of these, 1 year is complete apprenticeship. So earlier the case was if somebody drops out, then it's like a wasted effort of that 1 year or 2 years. But here we are trying to make it flexible. We are trying to make it credit based. So these are some changes which are leading to best practices. And there are also at the same time, there are educational institutions. For example, I told you the ITI system. I think that is a kind of a success story in India, which has over the years contributed a lot to the human resources in mostly in manufacturing industry. And now today, right now, as I speak, over the last few months, we have had new initiatives to modernize these ITIs. This, I think I should share it as a wonderful example where many industry sectors have come forward to modernize these industrial training institutes, because these are pretty old. Most of them are quite old. Now they need new infrastructure, they need new practical setup, they need lot of support from the industry. So there are hubs which are coming up, like a hub and spoke model, where there will be a center of excellence, and then these ITIs probably will work with that center of excellence. So using all these models, there are many changes coming in. So I think these are things which I think I should share in detail.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I just have one contribution to make. I believe that with the current trend in TVET and the current situation of the industries, because of the introduction of robotics and every other parts of development to different sectors of the economy, construction industry, and the rest. I think there is need for need assessment for TVET stakeholders to actually organize a need assessment, conduct a need assessment studies to see the areas of needs of this industry and how to improve on the TVET curriculum, because the idea is not just for us to continue training TVET students and the rest, but the idea is for us to train TVET graduates that will be employable
Right.
and that their services is needed in the industry. So if we must continue the advocacy for the advancement of TVET, we need to know the current industry needs so that we can actually produce graduates that will address the current challenges of the labor market. And also we need to retrain our teachers, because our teachers need to be empowered with the current skills, technological skills. So in the essence of this webinar is for us to actually continue to advocate for the advancement of TVET, and then to share TVET best practices. What is obtainable in India today can be remodeled in other countries, but they need to consider their need, the training needs, the job labor market needs of that country. So in the essence, there's need for TVET stakeholders to actually come together to profile solutions to the challenges of the industry today, how we can actually address skill gaps in the labor market. So I thank you so much for your presentation, and I want to thank everyone that is present in this webinar. And I want my friend from India, who is part of the President Advisory Committee, Ashutosh, who is the CEO of TESCA. He has been doing a lot to promote TVET and to promote skills development. Ashutosh, I don't know if you have a word for us today.
Yeah, definitely. I was not prepared for the meeting fully, but thank you very much, Siremu, for this special thing. And I know Miss Madhuri ji, and she has been very instrumental in TVET scenario in India. She has been advocating TVET in all forms, and she has a good knowledge and reach in TVET sector. And the kind of presentation which was given today is really mind-opening for people from IVETA or from worldwide who want to come to India to influence TVET or to partner with Madhuri to make it further enhancement. It will be a great step. So really interesting webinar, and I'm thankful to you for organizing such events, which are really becoming a key promotion and a key agenda for IVETA in times to come. So you are organizing another webinar in which I'm seeing Michael Dietrich is coming. So that will be also an eye opener because they have very good solutions on renewable energy, and renewable energy in times is the line wherein all the TVET sectors should focus and where the job scenarios will open up for TVET people and students. So I appreciate this webinar, and I'm thankful to you for inviting me for in the end to give some words. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashutosh. And we have the presence of Professor Ben Shooks. He's a professor of TVET from Nigeria. Prof, please, I don't know if you have a word for us today. Okay, thank you. And the Vice President for IVETA Europe, Dr. Pamela, I think she's part of this webinar. Okay, I thank everyone for their time, and this is just a beginning of our TVET dialogue, because we'll be driving through all the regions so that we can actually be part of the TVET advocate that will drive and make TVET interesting as we continue to push forward for a global change in TVET, because there's need for globalization of TVET, where I can actually study in Nigeria, and without much training, I can fit into the labor market needs of every other part of the world. Thank you, everyone. And we have the presence of Mr. Oluranti Netufa. Is the CEO of White Cloud TVET Solution. Mr. Oluranti, please, I think you have a word for us this evening.
Yes, good day, everyone.
Hello.
It's a big pleasure to be here, and I have to say this is a new IVETA, which the IVETA team is doing wonders. We are proud of you guys, and this kind of networking is very important for all of us who are stakeholders in TVET to most especially know what is tenable in different countries where we can learn, because TVET is also a global world on its own. What is being done in India can be imbibed in Nigeria or in Rwanda. And it will get to a certain stage also, there are some certain skills also, most especially in the cultural industry, that can also be imbibed from some African countries and exported. So TVET and skills development is very huge and very wild. We've learned quite a lot about TVET in India. And I believe subsequent programs, Nigeria also will come up with our own for us to share experiences. Thank you.
Yeah, and we also have the presence of Professor Everton from Jamaica. I met Professor Everton in WorldSkills Africa in Namibia. Professor Everton, can you please share some of the things you believe we can do to advance TVET globally? Thank you. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We'll close this session as we prepare for another webinar, 2nd of July, which will be dealing on green skills for green jobs. So we appreciate your presence in this webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Seremu, and thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, IVETA, all the members there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.